Dear spectators of the human tragedy. In this dimly lit chamber, shadows dance like specters whispering secrets of a world gone awry. Here I sit, a solitary figure, a harbinger of my own thoughts, burdened with the weight of words. Words that cut deeper than any blade, words that echo in the hollow silence of my heart. They spoke ill of me, not out of truth, but to mask the festering wounds they hide beneath their skin. They believed their venomous tongues could conceal their own decay. They were wrong. Malicious speech is a deceitful mirror, reflecting not the flaws of its target, but the insecurities of its wielder. The sharp tongue, oh, how it glistens in the dim light, a weapon of choice for those too cowardly to confront their own shadows. It strikes with precision, but the irony is this: each arrow they shoot is not aimed at me, but at their own hearts. Each insult, each slander, is a poison dart, crafted in the furnace of their fears, and it flies back to pierce the very hands that launched it. They revel in their momentary reign, perched atop their fragile thrones made of twisted words. They believe that belittling another elevates them, that dragging someone into the mud somehow lifts them from their own mire. But in their delusion, they fail to see the truth. The higher they climb on the backs of others, the more precarious their position becomes. For the ground beneath them is but a facade, a brittle crust waiting to shatter, revealing the abyss below. Ah, but the paradox of the sharp tongue. It is both a sword and a noose, a tool of destruction that ultimately ensnares its master. With each cruel phrase, they weave a tapestry of isolation, believing they are untouchable, superior. Yet, as the threads tighten, they find themselves ensnared in a web of their own making. The laughter fades, replaced by the chilling silence of solitude. Their victories are hollow, echoing in the chambers of their hearts like the ghost of a forgotten melody. In this realm of shadows, I have come to understand the cost of such malice. The walls they build from their disdain do not protect them, they imprison them. They surround themselves with echoes of their own making, drowning in a sea of their own toxicity. The more they lash out, the more they seal their fate, locking themselves in a solitary confinement of their own design. And what of the loneliness that follows? It creeps in like a thief in the night, robbing them of the very connections they sought to sever. In their quest for validation through harm, they find only desolation. They shout into the void, desperate for acknowledgement, yet the silence replies with a cruel indifference. They are left standing alone, with their sharp words ringing hollow, the echoes of their malice a stark reminder of their own failure. So here I am, a witness to their self-destruction. I've seen the illusion of power they cling to, the fleeting thrill of dominance that evaporates as quickly as it appears. Their arrogance is a mask, and beneath it lies a soul quaking in fear, a heart that beats in time with the rhythm of their own demise. They may think they have wounded me, but in truth, they have only carved deeper into their own flesh. Let them speak. Let them hurl their poisoned arrows. For in the end, it is their own hearts that will bleed, their own spirits that will wither. Time, that relentless force, will reveal the truth, dismantling their lies brick by brick. And as the shadows deepen, I will stand here, a testament to resilience born from the darkness, waiting for the moment when their own words turn against them, leaving nothing but silence in the wake of their folly. In this desolate expanse, where silence reigns like a suffocating shroud, I can hear the echoes of their venomous words swirling around me. They are not mere insults. They are arrows dipped in poison, each one crafted with meticulous precision, aimed at the very core of my being. Their arrogance paints them as mighty archers, but what they fail to realize is that each shot they fire ricochets through the air, returning to them like a boomerang of their own making. With every sneer, every derisive laugh, they believed they were tearing me down, brick by brick. But in truth, they were only laying the groundwork for their own demise. Their insults, like arrows, pierce not just flesh but the fragile constructs of their own identities. They cloak themselves in bravado, but every sharpened word is a reflection of their internal chaos, a desperate attempt to mask their inadequacies. They shout into the abyss, seeking validation through degradation, yet all they find is the hollow echo of their own failures. These poisoned arrows, once thought to be weapons, become chains that bind them. They wield their words with the ferocity of a cornered beast, thinking they can silence the world around them, but all they do is amplify their own despair. The immediate impact of their cruelty may seem like victory, a fleeting rush of power coursing through their veins. They bask in the momentary thrill of dominance, but such highs are ephemeral, fading like smoke in the wind. As they revel in their temporary triumph, they remain blissfully unaware of the festering wounds growing within themselves, a slow poison that will eventually bring them to their knees. What they fail to grasp is the inevitable truth of their own self-destruction. Each insult drains their spirit, each slander chips away at their soul. They may believe they are kings and queens of a kingdom built on malice, but their reign is nothing more than a mirage, a fragile facade waiting to crumble. With each poisoned arrow they launch, they dig their own graves, planting seeds of doubt and despair in the very soil they stand upon. And there is a bitter beauty in watching this unfold. Their arrogance blinds them to the reality that they are nothing but architects of their own sorrow. The more they attempt to wound me, the more they expose their own vulnerabilities. Their words return to them, twisted and biting, a cruel reflection of their own inadequacies. The arrows they meant to drive into my heart become the very instruments of their undoing, each one a reminder of the darkness they harbor within. In this dance of malice and retribution, I stand as an unwavering witness to their descent. Their laughter fades, replaced by the cold grip of isolation as their poisoned words echo back to them. They may find momentary comfort in their cruelty, but the long-term effects are a slow unraveling, a tapestry of despair weaving itself into the very fabric of their being. The shadows gather, and I find solace in the knowledge that time is an unyielding force, a relentless tide that washes over the shores of arrogance. It reveals the truth, stripping away the layers of deceit until nothing remains but the raw, exposed wounds of their actions. When the facade crumbles, they will be left standing in the ruins of their own making, surrounded by the echoes of their own malice. So let them launch their poisoned arrows. Let them revel in their fleeting victories. For in the end, it is the very poison they wield that will seep into their veins, a slow, agonizing reminder of the darkness they chose to embrace. They may think they are powerful, but I see the truth. Their words are a double-edged sword, cutting deeper into their own hearts than they could ever inflict upon me. Time will unveil their folly, and I will remain, a specter of resilience in the face of their self-inflicted demise. In the dim light of my solitary sanctum, I find myself contemplating the echoes of their hollow victories. They dance upon the ashes of their own creation, believing they can wield words like weapons, cutting down those they perceive as threats. But how fragile their power truly is, how fleeting the thrill that courses through them when they strike. It's a high not unlike the rush of poison, sweet at first, but inevitably toxic, devouring the very vessel that harbors it. Their taunts are like fleeting shadows, quick to emerge and just as quick to dissipate, leaving behind a void that echoes louder than any insult. They wear their arrogance as armor, but beneath that shiny facade lies a barren wasteland of insecurities. The thrill they derive from belittling others is a cheap high, one that cannot sustain them. It is a masquerade of power, a desperate attempt to drown out the cacophony of their own failures. They grasp at dominance, wielding their sharp tongues like swords, but in this game of cruelty, they are fools dancing upon the edge of a precipice. Ah, the cycle of power and pride, how intoxicating it must be to believe oneself invulnerable. Yet let me remind you, it is a cycle that spins with a relentless rhythm, a dark psalm that serenades the lonely. Each time they strike, they forge chains that wrap tighter around their own hearts. The more they attempt to elevate themselves, the deeper they sink into a mire of isolation and despair. They are but marionettes, controlled by the strings of their own malice, pulling tight until they choke on their own words. In their minds, they are titans, towering above the rest, but they fail to see the cracks forming in their pedestal. The illusion of superiority is as fragile as glass, and the higher they rise, the more perilous their fall. It's a tragic irony, really. They cling to the fleeting thrill of dominance while unknowingly digging the graves of their own solitude. How lonely it must be to stand atop a mountain of broken souls, surrounded by nothing but the bitter winds of their own making. And what of the psychological mechanisms at play? Each insult they hurl is a feeble attempt to mask their own shortcomings, a misguided belief that to elevate oneself, another must be lowered. But power gained through malice is a mirage, an oasis that quickly dries up, leaving them parched and yearning for validation from the very shadows they seek to extinguish. They scream for attention, for recognition, but all they elicit is silence, a silence that reverberates with the weight of their empty hearts. As they turn inward, consumed by their own bitterness, they become mere ghosts of their former selves. The cycle perpetuates, a relentless spiral that draws them deeper into the abyss. They may think they dominate the narrative, but in truth, they are merely prisoners of their own design, shackled by the very words they wield. The thrill of power becomes a double-edged sword, cutting not just the one they seek to belittle but also the soul of the one who wields it. In this dance of cruelty, I observe from the shadows, a silent witness to their unraveling. I see the loneliness etched in their features, the desperation clawing at their insides. They may believe their laughter is a celebration of their triumph, but it is merely a mask, a facade that crumbles with every passing moment. As they bask in the fleeting glow of their victories, the shadows creep closer, whispering the inevitable truth: power built on malice is a hollow throne. So let them revel in their delusions of grandeur. Let them parade their sharp tongues and poisoned arrows, for they are but actors in a tragedy of their own making. In the end, the cycle of power and pride leads only to isolation, a solitary existence, bereft of genuine connection, where the only audience to their performance is the echo of their own despair. And as they stand alone, atop their fragile mountain, I, too, shall remain, a specter of resilience, unyielding in the face of their self-imposed demise. In the aftermath of their venomous words, I sit in the chilling embrace of solitude, a quiet observer of the chaos they've sown. The walls around me, once a refuge, now feel like the jagged edges of a prison cell, built not to protect but to isolate. Each insult flung their way was but a brick in the fortress of their own making, and how ironic it is that they believe themselves shielded from the world when, in truth, they are caged by their own malice. They think their sharp tongues grant them power, a fleeting dominion over hearts they seek to wound. Yet, in their quest to build walls with barbed wire words, they forget that these very constructs keep them trapped. The laughter that erupts from their lips, so hollow and cruel, rings like a funeral bell for their own humanity. They wear their malice like a badge, believing it makes them invincible, when in reality, it chains them to a desolate existence, devoid of warmth and connection. The irony is thick. They seek validation through harm, believing that belittling others will elevate their worth. But as they cast their poisoned arrows, they fail to recognize the truth that seeps through the cracks of their facade. Each dart they fling returns to them, a boomerang of bitterness that cuts deeper than any blade. Their hearts, once vibrant, are now withering gardens, choked by the weeds of their own spite. How tragic it is to witness a soul decay, consumed by the very darkness they wield against others. Time is a relentless force, a quiet observer that watches with a knowing gaze as they spiral into their own abyss. It is not the swift retribution that they fear, but the slow unraveling of their own fabric, the gradual erosion of their self-worth. They may think they've claimed victory with each malicious jab, but in truth, they are merely architects of their own desolation. The walls they build are not fortresses of strength, they are tombs of solitude, where echoes of laughter turn into whispers of regret. As they sit atop their ill-gotten thrones, draped in the rags of their arrogance, they cannot feel the weight of their isolation. It is a heavy cloak, one that suffocates rather than protects, and soon, it will be too much to bear. The solitude that was once a shield becomes a shackle, binding them to a life devoid of genuine connection. Each relationship severed by their sharp tongue leaves them more isolated, a solitary figure in a world that once thrummed with potential. But let us not forget the toll this malice takes on the heart. In their quest for dominance, they have sacrificed the very essence of what it means to be human. The laughter of friends, the warmth of companionship, these become distant memories, replaced by the cold embrace of self-imposed exile. They may find fleeting moments of joy in their cruel conquests, but those moments are eclipsed by a profound emptiness that gnaws at their insides, a hunger for something they cannot name. As silence envelopes them, they may finally hear the whispers of their own conscience, a voice that echoes in the void they've created. It speaks of the connections they've severed, the trust they've shattered, and the love they've cast aside. In the end, they stand alone, an empty vessel, filled only with the remnants of their own malice. The thrill of power is a fleeting shadow, and as the sun sets on their hollow victories, they will face the reality of their choices. And so, I remain, a specter of resilience amid their decay, witnessing the unraveling of their narrative. I carry my scars not as symbols of defeat, but as badges of survival. In the darkness of betrayal and deceit, I have forged strength, a strength that illuminates the path to my own truth. While they languish in their self-made prison, I embrace the shadows, knowing that from this darkness, I will rise, unbroken and unyielding, while they fade into the silence of their own making. Time, that relentless specter, weaves its way through the fabric of our lives like a silent thief under the cover of darkness. It creeps into the hearts of the arrogant, gnawing at the roots of their bravado, while they remain blissfully unaware of the storm gathering on the horizon. They may revel in their fleeting victories, but each moment they bask in the glow of their malice is a moment closer to the reckoning they so desperately try to avoid. The truth is a patient hunter, and it waits, lurking just out of sight, ready to pounce when least expected. Ah, the beauty of time! It is both a healer and a judge, carrying with it the power to strip away the glamour of deceit, leaving only the naked truth behind. I have seen the masks of pretense slip slowly from their faces, like autumn leaves falling from withered trees, revealing the frail remnants of who they once pretended to be. The sharp words that once flew freely from their tongues now echo back like taunts, backfiring in a cacophony of regret. Each insult, each venomous jab, morphs into a mirror reflecting their own insecurities, piercing their hearts with the very arrows they shot. Consider, if you will, the tales of those who once wielded their words like swords, cutting down others to prop up their fragile egos. They prided themselves on their sharp wit, believing that their barbs would leave others bleeding and broken at their feet. Yet, as the clock ticks away, the very arrows they launched begin to return, now dipped in the poison of their own making. The venom that once seemed to elevate them now festers within, poisoning their spirits and dulling their once vibrant essence. I remember a particular instance, a moment etched in my mind like a brand. A figure shrouded in arrogance, belittling me with every syllable that dripped from their lips. "You are nothing," they spat, their voice laced with disdain. But what they failed to see, in their arrogance, was the truth that lay beneath the surface of their words. As the days turned into weeks, I watched them spiral, their confidence unraveling thread by thread, like a tapestry fraying at the seams. The very words they thought would imprison me only served to bind them tighter, an iron noose tightening around their necks. Justice, it seems, is a slow dance, a waltz that requires patience and precision. It doesn't rush in like a tempest, rather, it unfurls itself gradually, revealing the layers of deception one by one. And as the truth emerges, it cuts through the fog of lies like a dawn breaking over a long, dark night. I have seen it happen time and again, those who sought to tear others down only to find themselves lost in the rubble of their own making. They stand there, bewildered, as the world begins to see them for what they truly are, empty shells filled with nothing but regret. The irony is profound. They once believed their words were weapons of power, yet they became the architects of their downfall. Each boastful claim, each cruel jest, became a thread in the noose of their own design, drawing tighter with each passing day. Now, they are left to grapple with the remnants of their choices, the bitter taste of their own poison lingering long after the moment of malice has passed. In this dance of justice, I find solace. I wear my scars not as reminders of suffering but as symbols of resilience. The darkness they tried to cast upon me became the crucible in which my strength was forged. I rise from the ashes of their contempt, an unyielding force that refuses to be defined by their words. As they drown in their own toxicity, I stand firm, a testament to the truth that cannot be silenced. And so, I embrace the shadows, knowing that the light of truth will eventually break through. The time for reckoning is inevitable, and with it comes the sweet taste of justice, slow, but oh so satisfying. The world may turn a blind eye for a moment, but time, that relentless force, will always reveal what lies beneath the surface. In the end, it is the truth that will prevail, and they will be left standing alone, faced with the consequences of their own venomous creations. In the dim light of my solitude, I have come to understand the paradox of suffering. It is a cloak that wraps itself tightly around the shoulders of the betrayed, whispering secrets of strength hidden within the shadows. The darkness that others cast upon me, meant to suffocate in silence, instead became the forge where my spirit was tempered. Each insult hurled, each dagger of disdain thrust into my heart, served only to sharpen my resolve. Yes, they believed they were the architects of my demise, but in truth, they were merely the sculptors of my resilience. Imagine, if you will, the depths of betrayal, an abyss where trust once flourished, now choked by the weeds of malice. It is a desolate landscape, devoid of warmth, where the echoes of laughter have been replaced by the chilling silence of deceit. Yet, within this void, I found something unexpected, the raw materials of my rebirth. The scars etched upon my skin are not mere reminders of pain, they are the blueprints of my evolution. Each mark tells a story, a testament to battles fought and won within the very confines of my heart. Pain, in its most exquisite form, is a teacher. It strips away the illusions we cling to, exposing the naked truth of our existence. It is in the throes of agony that we confront our deepest fears, peeling back the layers of our own facades. While they reveled in their petty victories, I descended into the depths, where the shadows danced around me, inviting me to embrace their cold embrace. In that place of darkness, I discovered the strength I never knew I possessed, a fire ignited not by the words of others, but by the very act of surviving their venom. Consider the irony. Those who sought to diminish my worth found themselves trapped in a labyrinth of their own making. Their malicious tongues, once so confident, became the chains that bound them to their own despair. With every cruel jest, they fortified my walls, each brick a reminder that their attempts to belittle only served to elevate my spirit. I stand here, no longer a victim, but a warrior sculpted from the very struggles they thought would break me. The shadows, once a source of fear, have become my allies. In their embrace, I learned to wield my pain like a sword, carving out a path through the darkness. I learned that vulnerability, when transformed, breeds an unyielding strength. The solitude that once felt suffocating now feels liberating. It is a space where I can reflect, gather my thoughts, and prepare for the inevitable reckoning. As the cycle of power and pride spins on, I find solace in the knowledge that I am not defined by their words. I am a product of my choices, forged in the fires of betrayal, emerging as a testament to what it means to endure. Each moment of their fleeting dominance only serves to highlight the fragility of their throne. They may bask in the glow of their arrogance, but the light is dim, flickering like a candle caught in a tempest. Time, that relentless specter, is not merely a witness to their decline, it is the very force that will dismantle their facade, layer by layer. I will watch as their arrogance crumbles under the weight of their own making. The poisoned arrows they once shot at me now return to them with a vengeance. The laughter that once accompanied their barbs will be replaced by a silence so profound it will echo through the corridors of their minds. In this dark space, I find clarity. The journey from victimhood to empowerment is not a straight path, it is a winding road littered with the remnants of pain. But it is a journey worth taking, for each step forward is a declaration of my existence. I will not be silenced, nor will I be diminished. The scars I carry are not symbols of defeat, they are the markings of a survivor, a warrior who has emerged from the shadows, ready to face the light of truth with open arms. And so, I rise. From the ashes of their malice, I forge a new identity, one not defined by their venom, but by the strength I discovered within. The shadows do not frighten me, they are my allies, companions on this journey of self-discovery. I embrace the darkness, for it is here I found my true self, unyielding and undeniable. The sweetness of justice lies not in revenge, but in the quiet strength that comes from knowing I have turned my pain into power. In the stillness of night, when the world is draped in shadows, truth emerges like a ghost from the depths of despair. It has a relentless way of creeping into the crevices of our consciousness, illuminating the darkest corners with a harsh yet beautiful light. The whispers of deceit grow faint, overshadowed by the roar of revelation. In this somber space, I stand as the witness to a reckoning long overdue, where the poisoned arrows of slander now find their mark on those who once wielded them with glee. Consider the nature of truth, it is a beast that cannot be tamed. Like a wildfire, it spreads, consuming everything in its path, leaving behind the charred remains of lies and facades. Those who thought themselves invincible, cloaked in arrogance, are now but shadows of their former selves, their grandeur reduced to ashes. They believed they could bury me beneath a mountain of malicious words, yet here I am, rising from the rubble, a phoenix forged in the flames of their deceit. Every word they spat was a declaration of their own insecurities, a futile attempt to elevate themselves by dragging me down. Yet, in their misguided efforts, they failed to see the truth that lay bare before us all. Their venomous tongues were but mirrors reflecting their own inadequacies. Their arrogance was a mask, thin and brittle, shattered by the very air of truth that surrounds us. I have watched as their laughter turned to silence, their confidence crumbled under the weight of their own dishonesty. Time, the great equalizer, is an artist with a brush dipped in inevitability. It paints a picture that reveals the essence of every soul, stripping away the layers of pretense. It has a way of laying bare the heart of a person, exposing the rot beneath the surface. As the days turn into months, and the months into years, I have seen the mask slip, the bravado fade, and the truth emerge, stark and unrelenting. Justice may be slow, but it is as certain as the dawn that breaks after the darkest night. In this unfolding drama, I reflect on the power of words. They are not mere sounds strummed together, they are weapons and shields, capable of building empires or tearing down kingdoms. The very speech that once sought to shackle me has transformed into my liberation. I stand before you not as a victim, but as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Each insult hurled my way has been repurposed, recycled into a narrative of strength and defiance. And so, I call upon you, dear audience, to ponder the weight of your own words. Are they arrows of kindness or poisoned darts of bitterness? In the tapestry of life, every thread counts. The fabric of our existence is woven with the intentions we harbor and the truths we embrace. Do not let your tongue be a weapon that seeks to harm, for in doing so, you may only find yourself ensnared in the web of your own making. As I stand here, bathed in the light of truth, I realize that the journey from victimhood to empowerment is not solely my own. It is a shared experience, one that resonates with every soul that has faced betrayal, deceit, and malice. We are all warriors in our own right, sculpted by the trials we endure. The scars we bear are not symbols of weakness, they are badges of honor, reminders of the battles fought and won in the arena of life. In the end, the shadows that once loomed over me have become my allies, guiding me toward a path of self-discovery and growth. I have embraced the darkness, for it is through the depths of despair that I have unearthed the strength within me. The sweetness of justice is not revenge, it is the liberation that comes from knowing that I have transformed my pain into power, my suffering into strength. And so, I rise, unyielding and fierce, ready to face whatever shadows may come. The truth is an unrelenting force, and I am its vessel, carrying the weight of my story forward into the light. Let it be known, I am no longer defined by their malice, but by the strength I have forged in the fires of adversity. The journey continues, and with each step, I reclaim my narrative, a warrior reborn in the light of truth. Embrace the shadows that surround you, for they hold the key to your true power. If you believe that even in the darkest of times, strength can be forged and justice will prevail, then share this message. Tell us about a moment when you turned pain into your greatest weapon, and how you rose above the challenges that sought to break you. Subscribe for more gritty reflections and confrontations that challenge the status quo. Remember, the darkness is not your enemy, it's the crucible that shapes the warrior within.